Welcome to Camp Hunt's Youth Group Information Video. My name is Brian Simmons. I'm the director for Camp Hunt.
And I'm Robin Simmons. I am the business manager.
We also refer to her as the camp boss. I'm the director, she's the boss. We take care of things together. So if you have questions, both of us can answer the questions. Most of the time she can answer it better than I can though. Give you some information about Camp Hunt. We are on the shore of Bear Lake, the beautiful Bear Lake, also known as the Caribbean of the Rockies. It is one of my favorite places on this earth, and I love waking up every morning and looking out over the lake to get to watch the sunrise. That's one of the things that you'll be able to experience when you come up and spend the time with us. We have beautiful 13 acres of camp. So we are tight keeping with all of our campsites in it, but we use our space very effectively to have plenty of activity space for your activities and the things that we provide. One of the benefits of being in Garden City and right there on city water is we also have city sanitation. So we have all flushing toilets. That's one of the big blessings of Camp Hunt. We don't have any pit toilets, so the smell is much, much better. We are located just a couple miles north of Garden City. We're right in between the state boat marina and the Idaho state line, about 2.5 hours north of Salt Lake City.
Most, if not all, of the information we'll be talking about today can be found in the Camp Hunt Youth Leaders Guide. That can be found at utahscouts.org/hunt. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page below the big red buttons that say register now, you'll see several downloads. One of those is the Leaders Guide. Make sure that you download the Youth Camp Leaders Guide and not the Scout Camp Leaders Guide, or it's not going to make a whole lot of sense.
A lot of the information is the same, but it won't have the schedule you're looking for.
Also in that download area is the Bsa Medical Forms that you're going to need. There's the instructions to get your certificate of insurance that we require from the church. There's a lot of information there. Also, check back in that Leader's Guide every so often, make sure there isn't changes. As we look at things and determine that changes need made, we do change things up. So make sure that you're up to date. Check it every month or so, just to make sure that you've got the most up-to-date information.
All right.
Please plan to arrive at camp during the arrival window that's listed in the on the schedule for the session of camp that you'll be attending. But please plan to arrive in the early part of that window. If your kids have time to walk around camp to get the lay of the land, they tend to be more comfortable. You don't end up with so many homesick issues or kids that are just upset about being away from home. If they have time to ask their questions to get the lay of the land, it also gives you time to set up your campsite.
Check the trading post.
Check the trading post. And if you have any youth that need swim checks at that point, it also gives you time to do that. Also, on the day that you leave camp, please plan ahead for your departure. Get things cleaned up, rounded up and whatnot that you can, so that the things that you can't get to can be done in a timely manner. We are on kind of a time crunch, especially on the Wednesday departure and Wednesday arrival of our second group of youth. And so we need your help with that. We certainly aren't going to run you out of camp, but we do need you to be able to be ready to have camp, break camp, and to be out of there in the scheduled time. Immediately upon arrival, they will park your group in the parking lot. And then we need you to send one of your leaders, probably the one who has all the information regarding camp, to come to the lodge for check-in. The rest of your group can go to the campsite to start getting things set up to get settled, but we do need one person to check in. The hardest struggle we have on the day that the groups come in is getting them there to check in. It will make your stay a whole lot easier and will make me a whole lot less grumpy if you're there on time. And if you come to check in, I won't be grumpy with you, but sometimes I get impatient when it's out time and time again. So I will do my best. Bsa Medical Forms are required for everyone who will be staying at camp. This is parts A and B of the Bsa physical. that is just the health history part that can be filled out by parents. The part that is the physical that has to be signed by a doctor is not required for your stay in camp. Oh, let me back up a minute to check in. I failed to, we need your medical forms brought to check in. We need your completed swim check roster. We do ask that you do swim checks before you arrive at camp and just bring that completed roster with you to check in so that we can get that down to the waterfront and they can get things in order for your rotations to begin, especially if you have a waterfront rotation on your first rotation. Excuse me. If you have a youth that didn't make it to your activity when you did your swim checks, that's okay. We can do it at camp. But the earlier in the summer, the lake is cold. Also the dark lake and dark murky water and stories of the Bear Lake monster that might be floating around does scare some kids and it makes them hesitant to get in the water. So if they're confident enough to know that that they've already passed their swim check, that helps them to be able to enjoy the activities while they're there.
Let me address the swim check a little bit. We did have some confusion last year. The swim check is done by your leaders. It does not have to be done by a certified lifeguard. There are some old BSA swim check forms that are floating around that maybe an old scoutmaster has or something. It does have a place for lifeguard signature. You do not need the lifeguard signature on the swim check. We do ask that you are accurate and correct on the swim check for the ability levels. That does control what the participants are able to use as far as waterfront goes, and it is for their safety and for the safety and sanity of my lifeguards. They need to know what the ability levels are of the youth and adults that are out on the waterfront so that we can make sure that they are safe. Bear Lake is a challenging waterfront to manage because of its size and the changing weather conditions, but my waterfront staff are the best around. I'm always amazed at how well they do, but it's because they follow the rules and the policies to take care of your youth and your adults that are out on the waterfront. So if you have questions on the swim check, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let us answer your questions. There are some pool facilities that question and they think they know how to do the swim checks as far as who has to sign it, but you do not need an official lifeguard signature on it. Just have the leader that is doing it would be the one that would sign off on that. All right, so enough of this, that part of it. Some of the things that we have in camp for you, your campsite, each campsite is set up with 2 picnic tables, a fire pit, trash cans. Please bring your own trash bags or their can liners for the trash bags. You'll have restrooms close by. Did I say something funny?
You said can liners for the trash bags.
Yeah.
You want liners for the trash cans.
Or turn them into ghosts. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, you'll have restrooms close by. Our restrooms are single gender. So we will designate male and female restrooms depending on where we have the different youth groups. But they will be well marked for which gender will use which restroom, and we'll let you know at check-in and mark it on the map for you. All water in camp, except the lake, all water spigots in camp have potable water. So it is drinkable and usually very cold and refreshing. But you can use the water that is in camp for any cooking or cleaning.
That creek is not potable either.
Yeah,
don't wash your dishes there.
The creek. The creek comes out of the pasture across the field and it's full of cows. You do the math.
All right, let's move on to bathrooms at camp. One of the reasons I work and live at Camp Hunt in the summer is because we have all flushing toilets and hot water showers. We do ask that you help us keep our toilets flushing by not putting anything down them except human waste and toilet paper. Anything else that needs to be thrown away, there are trash cans in the bathrooms and receptacles in the stalls to help with feminine needs and anything else that you may need to throw away in there. So please help us keep those toilets flushing. The showers have instant hot water heaters, so they should be hot at all times. If there's any situations that they're not, please let us know. We don't know because we don't shower in there very often. I think Brian already said, but the male and female restrooms will be determined by where we have campers. We have a bathroom at the north end, the central part of camp, and at the south end of camp. And if in a certain area is all one gender, that will be the bathroom for that gender. Anyway, it will make more sense when you get to camp.
Even if you're at a campsite that's a ways away from the restrooms, I can make it all the way around our camp from one end to the other in about 7 minutes. So you're going to be within a couple minutes of the restrooms within the walking trails. One of the things that we really stress at camp is our youth protection rules. One of the main rules is 2 deep leadership at all times. We need 2 adults in camp with your youth at all times. If one of the adults needs to head into town to get the Diet Coke, whatever it is that you're in need of. First of all, you could get it at the trading post, or if you end up going into town to get that, please make sure that you got at least 2 leaders in camp with your youth to make sure you're following that policy. Also, we ask that you teach your youth about buddy system. Talk to them about the safety that it is for them and for the camp itself. Buddies have a tendency to help each other make better choices if you choose your buddies carefully. And we are right on the highway. We do get visitors in camp that just are curious, what do we have going on at the camp? And we want to make sure that youth do not have any issues with people coming into camp. We watch it very closely. We patrol camp and walk camp all the time. I don't like the word patrol, but we walk camp all the time to make sure that things are safe. But we ask that you teach your youth about being together and their buddies to keep themselves safe and to make sure that they're making better choices.
All right, we do ask that you keep all food and trash around your campsite and around camp cleaned up. As far as in the campsite goes, please take your trash to the dumpster at the end of each day. Our little critters around camp, the raccoons and the, well, we call them mini bears. What are they? Ground squirrels. Have been known on many occasions to unscrew the lid right off of your cheese puffs and help themselves. Also, they're really good at pulling coolers out from under benches that leaders thought was going to secure that cooler for the night. So please,
we have some really fat raccoons at camp because they get fed with cheese puffs.
They can't even walk.
They waddle. It's kind of fun to watch.
So please help us to treat our wildlife with respect by taking care of all those things to keep them out of it. For the protection of our youth and for the protection of our camp and our trees, we do ask that nobody climbs the trees. Our trees in camp, most of them don't lend themselves to that anyway, but we do have a few that are super tempting. Please keep the youth out of the trees. We just don't want, we don't want anyone hurt. And we like our trees. We don't want them hurt either. If the youth are going to use hammocks, we do ask that they bring a hammock stand and not tie them to any of the buildings or any of the trees in camp. We just have a little camp and everyone uses the same couple of trees and it's starting to damage the trees. So we put that policy in place. If you'll please help us with that, we would appreciate it.
That includes tree straps. So ropes and straps, both of them damage the trees. Straps are better, but not enough for the amount of use that our trees get during the summer. So we want to protect those trees.
All right, please bring your own firewood. Again, with the kind of trees that we have in camp, we do not have a lot of down firewood like you might in the forest. So plan if you're gonna have a fire to bring your own firewood. However, because of fire restrictions, fires may not be allowed. If we don't get some rain and snow coming up here before it's time for camp, I think that we're probably going to see some pretty heavy fire restrictions. So be mindful of that. That should come out in information from the council if there are fire restrictions at our camp. If you do have a fire, please make sure that it is cold out if there's no one in your campsite. It either needs to be tended all the time by a responsible person, or it needs to be cold out. Cold out isn't still smoking or steaming, it's cold. And we also have dumpsters at the north and the north parking lot and the parking lot in front of the lodge. So please use those and please make sure that your youth know where they are taking trash if they're sent to dispose of it.
Speaking of parking lots, we are very limited in the size of our parking lot. We ask that you please pack as tight as you can in your vehicles and bring as minimal gear as possible to limit the number of vehicles per group. We will be stacking the cars 3 and 4 deep. We'll have staff there guiding you to be able to do that. We try to keep each group keep their cars close together so that they can shuffle to get whatever car out that they need to. But we will also give you a parking slip that goes on your dash with the driver's phone number and name, so that if a car does need to be moved, whoever is trying to get it moved can contact you up there. Cell phone coverage is limited, but it's enough that we can get the job done. All trails through camp are foot trail only. You will not be able to drive your vehicles to the campsites to drop off gear. You will unload from the parking lots and carry the gear to your campsites. So we encourage you to bring wagons or wheelbarrows or a lot of backs to stack stuff on as they carry it to their campsite. But luckily, with the small camp, with the small acreage that we've got, it's not very far from the parking lot to your campsite, but just be aware that you will be unloading gear from the parking lots to your campsite, so that you're planning that way. Also, on our north end, we have a historic gate that you'll go through to get into the parking lot. That gate it protects part of our property on the camp because it is historical, and we want to make sure that it's protected. It is only 11 foot wide by 13 feet high, and so most RVs or campers struggle to get through there. We ask that you not plan on bringing an RV or camper. If you have a situation with medical needs that you need to have a camper of some kind, you need to contact me ahead of time so that we can work through it and figure out if it would work. But please do not plan on bringing RVs and campers to the camp because of parking lot size, and that gate makes it really hard to get in. Also, due to the limited parking space in the lot, we do not allow boats on trailers to come into the parking lot. One, to protect the boats, and also because of the space in the parking lot. Boat owners, if they're coming up for your group, they will need to use the dry dock down at the marina. There is an overnight fee. It's part of the launch fees that the marina charges, but you can contact them to get those fees taken care of and have a place to park the boat. And I believe you can drop the trailer with the boat on it in the dry dock.
All right. On your schedule, you will see that there is, I think it's an hour set aside for campsite chores. We do ask that you help us clean up the camp before you leave. We're actually not asking for an hour. If you can give us some willing hands, we'll use them for 15 to 20 minutes to get a particular chore done that we need help to get done before the next group comes in. It will be simple. It will be, clean bathrooms, clean the dining hall, something like that, that we just need help to get done. And because you've used and enjoyed the camp, we also ask that you help us to clean it up in preparation for the next group. We'll give you those assignments when you're there at camp as the time rolls around, and we'll have a staff member to guide and help with that for each group.
All right. We have neighbors close by, both to the property and also the neighbors from the campsite. Some of the tents are about as close as Robin and I are, but not really, but kind of. But we ask that you please follow our quiet time hours. From 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. is quiet time with lights out at 10:30. We know this is a challenge to get the youth and sometimes the adults to be quiet when it's time, but we ask that you please be respectful of your neighbors at the camp. On the north end, we do have neighbors just on the other side of the wall they created for camp, but usually we don't have issues with them, but we do want to be respectful. Also, we have a lot of facilities within the camp that can be reserved for extra activities. Example is our amphitheater out by the lake. We call it the Old Chapel, the pavilion, and other fields that we have available for different activities as you come up to camp. We will be holding an open house on May 21st up at the camp to allow you to have you come up and walk the camp, see the facilities. You can check your campsite, see where you're going to be staying with us. And it also is that is when we will do the sign up for those different facilities at camp. We will be doing, if you're trying to reserve something for each night, we will do a priority on that so that it's not one person gets top pick on every single site for each night, so that we can make sure that we have fair distribution of those facilities.
On that, just note that it is not on a first come, first served basis by request. We take all the requests for a week. We separate out maybe some quiet spiritual times that you're going to have versus noisy activities that are going on, and we try to put them in separate parts of camp. We try to accommodate whatever your group size is and your activity with the space that we give you. So far, we've been able to make it work and work perfect for every situation. Last year, I had a few people question where I put them for a particular activity. And when they got done, they came to me and said, you know what, that was the best place we could have been. So please bear with us. We will take all the requests of all the groups and do the best we can to put you in a place that's appropriate for your activity and other groups away from your activity if that's what needs to happen.
We know the camp quite well, and we've gotten pretty good at doing this. We ask that you just trust what we're doing, but ask your questions. What's the worst we're going to say is, no, we can't make this work, but ask your questions. It's all good. We'll make things work out for it. For coming up to camp, there are 2 food options. You can bring your own food. If you're doing that, please make sure that you have all your cooking utensils and all the supplies that you need. Pay attention to the fire restrictions. That would, if we do have a fire restriction, that would include charcoal and campfires for cooking on. And we want to make sure that you don't get denied on the s'mores night.
No hobo dinners if you can't throw them in the fire.
So we did have a few issues with that last year. We want to make sure that you're aware that if there is a fire restriction, that will include charcoal and anything for cooking other than the propane, like camp chefs and the stoves. Also make sure that you have plenty of ice. If you run out of ice, we do sell it in our trading post. And so we've got that available for you, or you can get more from town. Ours is cheaper in bigger bags. But please make sure that you let us know if you decide to go dining hall, which is our other option, that we have that by May 1st. Is that
May 1st? They need to decide that. Yep.
That way we have time to make sure that we have all of our food ordered and we have everything taken care of and in place for our cooks to get the great food prepared. There, with that, you can get registered for your food plan through the council's website and let us know what we can do to help serve you on that. You want to talk about allergies?
Yeah, as far as if your group is eating in the dining hall and you have a youth or adult with special dietary needs, gluten-free, allergies, things like that, we need to know ahead of time so that we have food in place to accommodate their needs. If you go to utahscouts.org/allergy, or if it's easier for you to remember, you can go to utahscouts.org/hunt, and then there's an allergy form on the right side of that page. But we do ask that the parent of the person, of the youth, go to the allergy form and fill it out. They know their child's needs best. Also, when it comes time, our cook will actually call the parents of each person or each adult, excuse me, to make sure that we can accommodate those needs and that we have the things that we need for that. I just drew a blank. Oh yeah, if we aren't notified in advance, it's hard for us to have things in place. There is a good grocery store in Garden City now, but when I say good, I mean a whole lot better than it used to be. It is nothing like we have here in the city, and there's not availability of special diet need foods. Excuse me. So please help us by helping us so we can contact the parent to make sure that we're meeting the needs. If we can't meet the needs of a particular issue, our cook will ask the parents to send food for that person. And so if that were to happen, we can waive the food fee for that person. Usually we're able to take care of it, but this is a dietary needs modification that we have in place. This isn't for preferences like I don't like that food. If this is for I really can't eat that food or we're going to have serious problems. If there's a situation where we do ask someone to bring their own food, we'll do everything we can to provide storage or even a cooking place for them. If you can bring that, even better, because that means it won't be, our resources won't be taken as we're trying to provide that. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, let's talk about the schedule.
That's why you're coming to camp. So we
Right.
want to give you all the fun stuff and talk about the good things that we're going to have going on with this. With your schedule, you will have 5 rotations that you will be assigned.
Wait, Brian, this is for
Uh-oh.
a 3-day session that they have 5 rotations.
Okay,
On a 4-day session, they'll have 7.
thank you. So on the 3-day, we will have 5 rotations. Those rotations are Riley Field for different lawn games and group activities. Second one is archery and 9 square. Next one is warrior canoes and some water activities with the warrior canoes. The other 2 are paddling, which would be stand-up paddle boards, kayaks, canoes. And then the last one would be swimming. So we have a mixture of water activities as well as on land activities to give you variety to what you're doing. The reason that we have to have these rotations is for safety. We have an awesome waterfront staff, but they are limited on the ability to keep track of huge groups. And so we have to meet specific ratios to make sure that you're safe and taken care of. And so that's why we do the rotations to maintain our group sizes and take care of the safety of what we've got going on the waterfront.
You will be given your rotations when you arrive at camp. So it will tell you which activity you'll go to during the first rotation, second rotation, and so forth. If you are on the 4-day schedule, you will actually have 7 rotations in your schedule. 2 of those rotations need to be things that you bring for your youth to do, that you have planned, that are quick and easy setup. That might be a service project or a little craft opportunity or something. Something that's pretty much ready to go and just has to be pulled out of storage to do. As well as you'll have some free time where you'll need things that you plan for your youth to do. So be sure to plan accordingly for that. We can help you find a location in camp. Again, if there's a special, if you want to do some fun, silly games, or we've had people do karaoke or dance parties and things like that. So we can always help you find a place to do it if you'll come prepared with the stuff to do it. We do ask that adults participate in the activities as much as possible. Get in and be involved with your youth. That's how you build those relationships. If your group wants more water time than the rotations allow, there are local beaches that we can tell you about, but you will have to leave camp to use them. Like Brian said, our lifeguards are held to pretty strict ratios of who and what we can have in the water at one time. And so we can help you find a place to do that if you'd like. But we have pretty strict regulations on our waterfront. There is a half-hour break between each rotation. That is so that our lifeguards can get out of the sun for a minute. They can hydrate, they can go to the bathroom, and they can apply sunscreen. It probably would be a good idea for your youth to take that half hour to do the same. They can even stop at the trading post in that time. That will be available during those half-hour breaks. But please encourage your youth to use that time to do those things, especially the hydration and the sunscreen. People sunburn at Bear Lake faster than they could even imagine that they would, and they dehydrate fast. We've had some scary situations up there from kids who said, I just haven't drank any water. Please help us avoid those, and please help us keep your youth hydrated while they're there.
One of the other challenges that we face up at Bear Lake is weather. We get some strong winds that come off the lake, and we do a lot of monitoring. I spend a lot of my day watching the different websites and apps for weather to make sure that our waterfront is taken care of, and also our campsites with tents and awnings. With the awnings, please make sure that you bring like easy ups and shade awnings. You'll also want to have rope and stakes to be able to secure those down. If we have lightning come through, lightning and thunder, the rule is 30 minutes after the last sight or sound of lightning and thunder before we can let people back into the water. If that is part of your rotation, please understand we will do the best we can to take care of you. But if we have a large storm come through, it could limit on those rotations. But our staff has really done a nice job accommodating to help out as best we can, but understand weather is out of our control. As much as we wish we could control it, sometimes it just is what it is. Some of the other activities that we have in camp are the Waterfront Olympics and the Washiki Games. Washiki Games are on our large grass field right behind the lodge. And we do just group activities to mix up the different groups and let them interact with each other and play just silly games. Some of them are Native American based and others are just adaptations, there's the word I'm looking for, adaptations of kid games. For example, Duck, Duck, Moose. They run around the circle doing the animal that is called out, and it is hilarious to watch. On our Waterfront Olympics, we will have paddleless canoe races, paper airplane contests, branding irons will be out that if people want to brand a piece of wood or a piece of leather from the trading post, we can do that so they have something to take home. Also, we'll have caber toss, Gaga pit, sand creations, and tug of row. Tug of row has become one of my favorites to watch. We tie two rowboats together and pile in the campers and give them paddles, and they try to out paddle the other group and do a game of tug of war with those. After dinner time, you need to have activities planned for your group. The first night that you're in camp, we will have a campfire for you, which will include a flag retirement, campfire permitted. But we will do flag retirements, which is one of our very special activities at camp. It's one that we absolutely love doing, and our staff does a top-notch job putting these flag retirements on, and it's one that the campers really enjoy learning about and understanding the proper way to retire a flag. And we will keep it short, the campfire relatively short, so that you will have time in your campsite with your youth.
I do believe on the schedule, we've scheduled out far more time for it than it needs.
Definitely.
It seems like it tends to be about 45 minutes.
Yep.
So let's talk camp fees. If you have a reservation for camp already, you've already paid at least $15 per person deposit. At least 50% of your total balance is due by May 1st. And then your final payment is due at least 1 week before you arrive at camp. If you have any issues or problems with that, please contact the council camp desk, and they can help you with that, but that's when amounts are due. We also do I can talk.
It's been a long day.
We do require a proof of liability insurance from the church or your sponsoring organization. If you are a youth group participating with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there are instructions on our camp website of how to request that certificate of insurance from the church. It's a quick, easy process to go through, but it does need to be done in advance because it does take them a few weeks to be able to process that. Your best bet is to do it after April 1st. Their plan year starts over on April 1st, and everything that they issue before that, they have to go back and reissue at that point. So put it on your calendar to do after April 1st, and then it will just be done and out of your hair. They send a copy to the council, and they send a copy of that to you. And so it's really easy to do.
All right. We've hinted at, okay, we've just blatantly put in the plugs for our trading post. We do have a camp trading post. It is well stocked with almost any type of soda that you can.
Mountain Dew.
Lots of Mountain Dew. We're like the drug dealer of the caffeine. We have all sorts of sodas and candies and ice cream. We're hoping we might be able to get our ice cream machine back up and running, or a new one in there to replace it. But
We'll
right
have
now
hats and shirts.
we'll have hats and shirts and other souvenirs in our trading post. So let your youth know that will be an opportunity, that if there's things that they would like to buy, they can come and get things at the trading post. Also, we'll be selling ice to keep your coolers cool, and all sorts of things in the trading post that we'll have available for you. If you have any questions, this has been like information overload for you. Please go back and rewatch pieces that you're wondering about. If you misheard or didn't understand something, please contact us and let us answer your questions. We get tons of emails, phone calls, texts, and we're good with it.
I'd rather answer a question than have someone assume something they can't do and be upset with us.
Right. Or just not understand what's going on. We want you to be well informed, answer the youth questions so that they're not worried or stressed about what's going on when they come up to camp. So please don't hesitate to contact us. My contact information is in the leader's guide. I'll give it to you now, but it is in the leader's guide. My email is BDS, that's my initial, Brian David Simmons, bdscamphunt@gmail.com. And my phone number is 801-682-3908. Also, if you have questions, you can call the camp desk. There's a 50-50 chance that you're going to talk to Robin because she's one of the camp desk ladies that takes such good care of our camps. So she's right there to be able to answer your questions. And if a question comes to the other camp desk employee, they will defer it to her.
She's as knowledgeable or more so as I am. Maybe not quite as much with Camp Hunt, but she's pretty darn good. The phone number to the council camp desk, 801-479-5460. Or you can email program.office@scouting.org.
We are so excited to have you come up to our camp. This will be our 12th season as a family working at Scout Camp. 10 of those 12 have been at Camp Hunt. It is our happy place. It is where we love to be. We love serving our campers. And we, like I said, we're pretty good at what we do. We've experienced a lot up there, and we love our camp. And we want you to love the camp as much as we do. And we will do everything we can to make your experience worth your time up there and make it memorable for you and your youth. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us. And we will see you at camp this summer. And we're excited to get summer going, get out of this winter time and make things happen and have fun this summer up at Bear Lake. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you up at camp.
See you at camp.